Hey guys, we're here on Love Your Story podcast. I'm your host, Marinelle, and I'm here with
Rose Vixen.
So Rose Vixen is actually a big member in the body positive community. And I just want to ask you, how'd you get into it? How'd you explode on the internet?
Honestly, I got into it because I was feeling like I didn't have a platform for myself to express my body or express my sexuality in a positive way and find positive community surrounding that. Obviously, a lot of people growing up, I had a lot of bullies and a lot of issues relationship-wise, finding people that I thought loved my body for the right reasons. And I wanted to find community around that, and also I wanted to create space for women to see my page and see that fat women were out there, loving themselves, and now I see myself creating a positive representation in the media for fat bodies.
Did you expect yourself to blow up like that, or you just wanted it to be a low-key diary, or what was your aim?
Initially, I just wanted it to be a Finsta, to be honest. I just wanted to post whatever I wanted, whether that to be lewd stuff or long text posts about my day. And then I took my page off private because I was posting some poetry, and I was I want this to go somewhere. I want people to see this poetry. I want it to affect somebody. So I posted it with a couple nature photos that I had taken, my boyfriend had taken of me, and then it blew up. I had a couple of body positive shout out pages post it, and within a couple months, I want to say 4 months, I gained 6,000 followers. And then I just was consistent with my content. I'd upload every other day, every day.
Did you ever feel like you had to post to keep up?
Yeah, I definitely felt the pressure of Instagram. You feel obligated to produce content even though you have stuff going on in your own personal life that no one knows about. Personally right now, I have finals, trying to upkeep a relationship, a part-time job, volunteering. But then I also have Instagram, and it's I have been reposting old content, and then at a certain point, it's you have to post new content, and people lose their interaction with you on the site. So when you lose interaction, you actually stop gaining as many followers. So it's a whole game.
So how long ago did you decide to unprivate your account? Because I know you got how many thousands now?
Well, I've had several accounts. My first account started in 2016, I believe. The beginning of 2016. Yeah, beginning of 2016. It went to almost 9,000, and then they shut it down. They didn't give me any reason for the shutdown. I just logged in, was gone. So then I created another account under a new name, BBW Vixen, and that one took off because I rebranded. Before I was Vulva Vixen, now I'm BBW Vixen. And I think that was just an easier name for people to it was palatable. And that one got 99, very close to 100,000 followers. Then I logged in, and it was just gone again. I appealed that one 47 times or something crazy
Jesus
like that.
Christ, first of all, how do you appeal in the first place?
It's very hard because they actually will block your VPN address from the device that you started the account on. So when I first tried to appeal, I couldn't even find the appeal page. And then a friend of mine linked it to me, and then I clicked the link, and it wouldn't even pop up on my phone. So then I was that's weird. So then I tried it on my partner's phone, and it worked. And I was what the hell? That's funky. So I asked a bunch of models about it, and they were yes, that worked. That didn't happen. That same thing happened to me. So it's like definitely a thing they're doing. So I appealed on my partner's phone and nothing. They never got back to me. I think they were like, this girl's getting smart using someone else's phone. But I started another one that was my backup account that I had like accumulated followers on. And now I have 22.2 thousand. And actually just this last weekend, they deleted me yet again. And there's a bunch of politics behind like Instagram deleting models that fit my description. I think it has to do with a lot of body politics, a lot of like sex politics, and our attitudes surrounding women's sexuality, and also like fat bodies. So since I fit on the intersection right there of like I'm exposing myself sexually with like boudoir photography, and then I'm also a fat bodied individual that's femininely presenting, you can see how like that is something that the algorithm would just not want on the mainstream media to be exploding on Instagram.
So you've been blocked 3 times then?
Deleted
3 times?
On main accounts, yeah. In total, including backup pages, 5.
Was there any point where you were like, maybe I should just not continue with this?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think what makes me continue is people that continuously reach out to me. When my biggest one was deleted, I fell off the face of like Instagram for a while, and I got like people emailing me being like, where did you go? You were such an inspiration. Like, I looked forward to seeing your content. One person was like, I literally only used Instagram so that I could see your content, and you're like one of the only people I follow. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. Like, I personally was not aware of how many people that my page affected on a daily basis. So I don't know, being like the social justice nerd that I am, I was like, I need to get back out there and like do what I was doing and like still pursue modeling. So I created that other page, and yeah.
So were you identified as a model before you blew up on Instagram, or like people would reach out to you?
I think it started like before. I was just taking selfies, to be honest, and then the selfies turned into like asking my boyfriend if he could take really nice photos of me, and then it turned into photographers on Instagram like reaching out to me and being like, you seem really cool, can we set up a shoot? And now it's like a whole network of people that I know that are my friends, and like I've met some amazing people, models, photographers, everything. It's
Were you
amazing.
ever like sketched out with like the first person to be like, you want to do a shoot? Were you ever like, I don't know?
Well, the first person to ever reach out to me was this amazing woman named Teresa. She is a plus size woman of color as well. I never felt like I showed up to the shoot by myself, and she was there with her boyfriend, and like I was naked in front of them, like doing nature shoots, and not 1 second did I feel uncomfortable. But I think like it has to do with the artist and like the differentiation between this is art and we're producing art together, and like this is not a sexualization of my body. We're using it as a medium. So it's really cool.
So would you ever like turn down somebody that wanted to take photos of you that turned you into like a fetish, or?
I think, you know, like I have very personal and like emotions towards that, because I also would identify myself as a sex worker, but that's because I am a college student, and I noticed that like my modeling could be used as a mode of financial stability. And I've been on my own since I was like 16 years old, so I was like, how can I go to school full time, have a part-time job, and then have something on the side that's very flexible that I can do whenever I want.
Yeah.
I'm often fetishized. Like, my name's BBW Vixen. Like, that's an entire, like, category of the adult industry. I'm okay with it, honestly, because I think that a lot of fetishization is just preference, and it leaves room in the, like, kink community for people to, like, discover a lot of like who they are, what they like, and you can make a lot of good relationships even if people fetishize you. I know there's a lot of negative feminist connotations on like fetishization for sure, but I think that also has to do with consent. like, if you are consenting to be fetishized, which I am, because, like, my name is BBW Vixen, so obviously I know who's seeking me out, then that's different than someone who's not consenting to be fetishized, definitely, yeah.
Is your family aware of how, like, popular you are online, or were you, like, how did that even happen? Do people see you on the street and they're like, I know you from Instagram?
Yeah, that's happened a few times, the noticing on the street. The biggest time it happened, I was, like, really surprised. I went to audition for Torrid to be their, like, model of the year or whatever, and I got, like, pretty far in the process, but, like, it was a really fun experience. I would do it again. But while I was there, 3 different women came up to me and told me, like, are you Rose Vixen? Like, I swear you're that girl from Instagram. And this one girl was really shy. She just kept staring at me. And then finally I was like, you know, this girl keeps staring at me. Like, either I look funky as hell right now, or, like, she knows me, you know? So I walked up to her and I was like, hey girl. And she was like, hey, don't think I'm weird for staring at you for the past, like, hour, but I kind of recognize you from Instagram. And I was like, yeah, no, totally. And we actually ended up talking, and she was like, she's a follower of mine still. And I think my boyfriend gets a little weirded out when I'm in public. And I've been noticed by, like, men. And I think that worries him, that, like, I'll be by myself in public and be noticed by a man from Instagram, and then they'll, like, sexualize me or, like, take me being, like, half naked on Instagram as an assumed consent. For something, like, thinking that I want that. My family knows.
Have they ever, like, seen your page? Or?
Oh, yeah, actually. Okay, so I have 4 sisters. The 2 in the middle don't know. The one closest to, I'm the oldest, the one closest to my age, she knows very well, supports me. She's an artist, was a sex worker. We've supported each other. And my youngest sister is 12 and accidentally found it.
How did that happen?
On Instagram, because she had a profile no one knew about. So I didn't block it, you know, because no one knew about it. And she found it, and she didn't tell me for 6 months. Or I was at the house, and I opened her phone, and it was, like, a page I didn't know. And I was like, who's she following? Click the followers. And I was like, that's my page. And so it all came out. She's like, I've known about it. I love you. I like what you're doing for other women. And I'll never, like, judge you, and I support you. So it's actually, like, a really big thing.
Support. What about your other sister that doesn't know?
My 2 sisters that don't know, I don't know. They'll eventually find out, and it'll be fine. But you know, I'll let them find out on their own time. And my mom is very supportive. My mom even, like, texts me before my photo shoots, and it's like, hope you're safe, and you look cute, and hope you have a good
She, like, seen your account and stuff?
Oh, yeah, I, like, show her, and she's really proud of, like, the modeling work that I've done. Some of the, like, non-explicit stuff she's framed and hung in the house.
That's so
it's
sweet.
Really sweet, yeah.
So back to your partner. He supports it, clearly, since you're still doing it.
Yeah.
But is he ever, like, has some divided feelings towards it, or how does he go about it?
We've been together since high school, so, like, 6 years now, coming up in January. And I think, like, at the level, it's not even the level of our relationship. I think it has to do with the type of people that we are. Like, we're very secure with one another. I don't think he's ever been a jealous person, ever. I don't think I've ever seen him jealous. I've seen him concerned for my safety, but, like, even when men in public notice me, he's not jealous.
It's more of your safety.
Yeah, it's just he's concerned. But he's not really concerned. I mean, he helps me make content. And he often takes part in my adult content. So, like, he's very supportive, and he even, like, supports me. He's kind of a savant, not a savant, like a amateur photographer right now. So I meet up with models, and he'll, like, help us, like, make content and take pictures for Instagram. So yeah, he likes to call himself, like, an Instagram boyfriend, because he's, like, constantly
taking pictures of you.
The angles, the lighting, you know, he knows all that shit just because of me.
Is he, like, big in the Instagram world too, or he like tries to keep private?
He literally has no accounts. Like, he doesn't have any internet presence besides like what I create for him. And I think he'd like to keep it that way, just because like he doesn't care for it. He just cares about what it does for me, and it brings me a lot of happiness knowing that like I reach out to people's lives, and honestly it brings us some financial stability. I mean, pays the bills sometimes.
Do you ever get hate comments and stuff like that?
When I was a smaller account, like less than 10,000 followers, I would get a lot more hate. And I think I've noticed that pattern where it's like, if you have less than 10,000 followers, fucking trolls and like people that are spewing hatred on the internet for no reason at all, they feel like they can target you because you don't have like large backing or like a lot of supporters.
10,000 is still a lot,
Still
though.
a lot. Yeah, but like, you know, predominantly like less than that, I received hate. But once you like get up there, I feel like people lose the audacity a little
Because they
bit.
know that people will come for them in different...
Oh, yeah, and I'll just block them, you know? But also, I definitely, like, every new account I put, I know that's gonna happen, like, I anticipate it, and I put a word filter. You can, like, go in the settings on Instagram, in the comments, you can put words that if someone uses that in a comment, it automatically deletes the comment before you even see it. So I just put, like, bad words and, like, hateful words and, like, stuff I don't want to hear, and then I just never see it, so, you know, it doesn't affect me.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did it used to affect you before? Like, were there any moments where you were like, actually, that really hurts? And
Yeah. I cried once. One time, like, this guy got me. Like, and I'm the type of person that I'm like, whatever, like, I'm rubber, you're glue, like, I don't care about anything you say. I think I'm pretty strong about that stuff, but it was a really nice photograph I took, and I shared it, had a really nice, like, caption, and some guy commented and was like, your body's a 10, but your face is a 0, like, why don't you just keep showing us your backside? Like, we don't want to see face pictures of you. And of course, like, people I didn't see the comment for hours because I was at school and I was, like, not checking notifications. By the time I checked notifications, people had jumped down his throat and were like, F you, you know nothing, she's super beautiful, and, like, all this stuff. But still, that comment and the fact that someone would even say that to me was, like, really hurtful, because then it like deduced me to my parts. It reduced me to just like body parts.
Yeah.
And it made me feel like dehumanized, and definitely overly sexualized, because then I was just not like a human, but just a backside on the internet. And I was just like, ugh, is this even what I want to be doing?
So how'd you rise up from that? Like, what made you...
I think I present myself differently. Like, if you go to my page, it says, like, student, model, activist, feminist, bisexual, like, Zicana. It's a safe space. DMs equal manners. Like, I have rules, you know? And I think it's very obvious, like, who I am. So if you don't like feminism, if you don't like queerness, if you don't like Latin culture, if you don't like activism, being woke, any of that, like, you can leave. And I think that people who do post shit like that just like move along.
Have you ever thought of going to another platform since they've deleted you multiple times?
Oh yeah, I have several other platforms. I'm on Twitter as well, and I have like 11.5 thousand on Twitter, and Twitter's a good place because they don't really care what you post. They allow like adult content, they allow like boudoir content, they allow like fat bodies. They don't really care what you post. And I also had a Tumblr, which recently like got reviewed and deactivated since they changed their terms and condition policies recently, like disallowing all adult content. So yeah.
But is Instagram like the most successful out of all of them?
To be honest, I actually get more from Twitter in terms of revenue, but I get more happiness and like I think I reach more women. And like for the social activist portion of what I'm trying to do, like I can post little things on my story, you know, talking about like social justice rights and stuff, which is something I can't do on Twitter. So I like Instagram more for that, and I think there are more women that follow me on Instagram, and that's very important to me, to like not only be sexualized but be like an inspiration for fat representation.
Where do you want to go with it, like in the future? Like, do you plan on trying to make it into the modeling industry officially, or like writing some stuff? Because I know you did like a lot of writing, and like you even showed me like your essay, which I thought was bomb, and it helped my essay. So just curious on what career paths you're trying to go to.
Ultimately, I want to be a sex therapist. Like, that's why I'm in school, like what I'm in school for. I want to work with women who have been through like rape and domestic violence trauma. And I think that intersects well with body politics and sex work many times. I'd like to write about like what we've been talking about, sex politics, body politics, and what that means for all kinds of body types. I think there's a lot of oppression that happens besides like racial oppression, gender oppression, you know, sexuality, all those other intersections. I think like size is an intersection that we don't talk about often enough, and like bodies and how those are like seen, and the like assumptions and stereotypes and like prejudices that you have and hold because of that. So I'd like to write about that. I don't know what the future holds, but I don't think like my modeling's going anywhere professionally.
It's more just for fun, or just for content?
It's just for fun. It's and also like it creates some revenue, but mostly for fun. And I discover a lot about myself the more I like see myself on the other side of the camera. Like looking at pictures of myself makes me see what I look like in other people's eyes, and it makes me feel different about myself. I gain perspective on all these little voices inside my head that are saying like, you're this, you're that, you know, your rolls are bulging, you hate that photo because of this, or like this is probably how you're looking. And then I see photos, and like the first time I see them, I'm like, I hate that photo. And then after a while, I'm like, that's actually a really beautiful photo. I really enjoy the way I look in that. That person that I'm looking at in that photo is a gorgeous human being, and I really like that. So it decenters me away from like myself. And I look at myself as like a piece of art. I don't know. It's really nice. Yeah.
I love that. This idea of like, if you're a body positive influencer, then you're like, you're okay, you know, like you've hit enlightenment, you're always secure in your body and you never feel insecure. And I follow a couple people that when they do share that they're like going through some mental health issues, or they're like feeling really low about themselves, people will kind of be like, oh my God, you're just asking for attention. I guess if you're like so popular on the internet, they take away that human aspect of you. Like they're like, they just see you as an idol, as a person, like a figurehead. You're so secure in yourself, and like I look up to you, and it's like when you have an off day, it's like, whoa, you're not allowed to do that. You're supposed to help me. I'm feeling bad about myself. So how do you deal with that?
That's like honestly something I battle all the time, because people think like that I'm perfect pretty much, that I don't have emotions. And then I'll post, like just recently I posted on my story like, oh, I'm so stressed out, like I could really use a break. And people are like, why are you stressed? When I've been posting for a week about finals and like, you know, but I think that people forget that we're allowed to have off days. And I even feel the pressure of like not posting controversial like captions that may be like, oh, I'm feeling so sad or this or that, because honestly, I'm seen as someone to like bring your day up. And then I'm afraid to like, if I'm inspiring, let's for example, like say I'm very inspiring to like some young girl. And if she sees that I feel bad about myself, and if I'm having an off day, I always wonder like how that would make her feel. Would that make her feel like, oh, that's relatable. I'm having an off day as well. Like it's comforting that someone I look up to is also having an off day. Or would she feel like, God, I'm never going to feel better, because if like this person that I idolize and I think is way more beautiful than I am is feeling bad about herself, how should I feel about myself? So it's like a double-edged sword, honestly.
Yeah. So how have you battled that topic? Like, do you...
I go day by day with it. I try and post whatever I want, and I have made several posts about like the fact that I myself take antidepressants and like am medicated, and how like medicine plays a part in my life for like, you know, neurodivergency and like chemical imbalances. But I think that also comes with a lot of stigma. And I have gotten, like, when I posted that, it's probably like half a year ago now, there was like several people in my message request box saying like, oh, like, you shouldn't have shared that you're mentally ill. Now, like, people are not going to want to follow you. Or like this one girl commented and said like, why do you use medicine as the solution to your mental illness, like, when there's so many other paths to like getting better, which I think is very ignorant, because like everyone has their own path, and like, I don't know, medicine works best for some people, hell,
So you
marijuana
basically
does,
yeah.
like, you know, anything. But yeah,
So you just constantly hear different people's opinions and about like everything you do.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever
I can't
thought
do
about
anything without having an opinion.
Have you ever thought about like taking off the comments or taking off the messaging feature for your own sake? Or
I'm afraid to do that because of the 3% of messages that I get that are like some girl or someone in general reaching out and saying like, you inspire me, or I need someone to talk to, or like, how did you get through that thing that you talked about on that post, or like, can you give me advice on this? Like, yes, it's a small amount of message, like that's a small percentage of the messages I get, but I won't turn my message box off because like, I don't want to miss those messages, you know, like, for real. So yeah, I'll sift through the hate for like those few people that need my help.
so is there any last messages or anything you want your followers to take away from, I guess, this conversation and just what you're trying to go for in general? Like, is there any parting words you'd like to say on the community, or like what you're trying to do?
Any parting words? If you are someone who is doing similar work that I'm doing, to please like remember that the body positive community itself is very flawed. I know me and you have talked about this, how like it often centers bodies that are digestible and like okay for mainstream media, whether that means like barely curvy bodies or bodies that are able-bodied and not including disabled bodies, or women of color or people of color in this movement. So I think that like people who are doing the work that I'm doing need to make sure that their work is centered around an intersectional stance that includes every body, literally. And, you know, to notice your privilege and to use your platform and your privilege as a way of getting other people's voices heard, which I think, I try to do. You know, we could all like work and grow, but yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay,
Thanks.
so I'm your host, Marinelle Cabello, here with
Rose Vixen, thanks.
and that was our first episode.